This is 70,000 Tons of Metal, the original, the world's biggest heavy metal cruise. 60 bands, 4 days, 1 cruise ship, only 3,000 tickets. It's like having an all-access backstage pass. January 29th to February 2nd, 2026. From Miami, Florida to Nassau, the Bahamas, and back. Go to 70,000tons.com and book now.
For those not familiar with The Reticent, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
We were assigned the moniker of Prague's most emotionally gut-wrenching band after the last record came out, and I'll take it. We are a progressive metal outfit that focuses on these days concept records that delve into really difficult topics.
You guys do them in a fantasy way that always kind of mirrors society as well, right?
Well, a fan described what we do as tragic autobiographies. So I, like my last album, The Oubliette, there's a lot of samples and quotes from doctors or Alzheimer's patients. It was about Alzheimer's. And while there is some imaginative stuff, like in songs like The Dream or The Nightmare, we're trying to think what would be going on in the mind of somebody that is suffering from these ailments. On the flip side of that is, a very grounded, visceral kind of realism, to these kinds of things. Or, like the new album dealing with mental health that we have coming out in November. Lots of quotes from doctors. There's text from the DSM-5. I make reference in lyrics to books such as Night Falls Fast by Dr. K. Redfield Jameson, things like that. So, I don't know if fantasy is the word I would use, but we try to look at it from the emotional perspective of the people going through it.
Right. And I think this is one of the most powerful vehicles, right? I think heavy music in general is very cathartic and therapeutic, and I think it lends itself quite well to the stories like you guys are creating with that mental health component in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree. And the nice thing about progressive metal is that I don't, at least the way I interpret it, there aren't limitations. It can be quiet, it can be loud, it can be fast or slow, heavy, it could be tender. And I think to cover the breadth of of the human experience, you're going to need as many colors on your palette board as possible.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's cathartic for the artist as well, right? Do you feel that when you're writing this stuff?
Yeah. Everything that I've put out with the last few records, I mean, these are things that I've been through. I watched a family member go through Alzheimer's, and I'm watching my mother go through it right now. And I had a friend die by suicide. I have several mental health struggles that have been really, really challenging. So I'm coming from a very honest place with it, where it's just revealing what it is. And so for me, it is very therapeutic because I'm able to kind of purge a lot of those things through the writing and the performance.
You ever feel like you've put too much of yourself into your music, especially on, the one coming up here, Please, right?
Yeah. I'm sure there are people that would agree with that. I don't know that I can answer it because it's so subjective. There are times when I feel like I've said too much and I've revealed a lot, and maybe, it doesn't make me look the best. But at the same time, I believe that we pay a lot of lip service to things like, oh, we want people to talk about things, and we want people to open up. I'd rather read your sad story than read your obituary, but I don't find there's a whole lot of follow through with that. And so I think that the only thing I can do then is just try to present as viscerally real what it is like. And that means that people will know a lot of intimate details about me, and puts me at maybe a disadvantage to everyone. A lot of people know a lot about me and my life, and I don't know anything about them. But I believe in what I'm doing. So
I think it makes it real too, right?
yeah. That's, I guess that's the linchpin of it. That's also what makes it kind of tough on me. When we perform live, like Metal Injection talked about when we played Prague Power a couple years ago, and how it was the most heartbreaking set in the history of the festival, and we're going to play again next year, and that's a wonderful compliment. But like I do pay a price for thinking about these things, reliving these things, and tearing myself up in front of everybody
Every night.
It's tough, and it's hard on me. And when we were on tour a couple years ago, 2 years ago, like I broke down. I think we were in St. Louis, just sitting at the venue in the afternoon, and I just broke down because everything was really tearing me up. So it's not an easy thing. It's probably not a healthy thing. But I think that if I rip my heart open and I fall apart for the audience and go back through all these things for them, I'm giving them permission to feel whatever they might need to feel, want to feel, and let that out. So.
Do you get a lot of fan mail, or do you run into people after the shows that express how this stuff connected to them?
Yeah. Every time we play, I get to have a conversation with somebody or a few people that talk about what it meant to them, or how impactful it was, or something like that, or what this album did for them in terms of like, man, I lost my grandparents to this, or my friend died by suicide, or whatever, and we get. And it's not like I'm getting like 500 emails a day from people, but we get regularly, messages at the website, or comments online, or messages to the Instagram or whatever, just people just sharing their stories, or talking about what it meant to them. And, that's at the heart of what this project is for. Like I'm not trying to get people to be like, oh my God, you guys are so badass, and this, that, and the other thing. That's great, but I'd rather connect with people.
Yeah, even just the one. I mean, just to think, that whatever you're creating and putting out there is resonating with somebody wherever. I mean, even if it's just one, not 100, like you said, that's still pretty amazing, and probably humbling as well, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's. I usually don't know what to say. So it is very humbling and overwhelming when somebody says something so beautiful or touching about your work or about your performance. And, thank you seems very pallid and not sufficient.
Right.
But, that's, I think at its best, that's what art can do. Is it can connect with people. It can transcend barriers of geography and language and other things like that, to kind of remind us what is at the real basic integrity of us as human beings. And it's it helps me. Like the folks that tell me about how it's impacted them. I mean, I wish I could convey to them how much it helps me to keep going to have those conversations.
What's been the early on response? I know this comes out in November, I think 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? What's been the early on response to it so far?
Well, Friday was the first taste of anything. Although we did play half of Please when we played at Prague Storm Festival in Canada. So a few fans have heard a good bit of the material. But I mean, so far the response has been pretty overwhelmingly positive, and folks seem excited. Kind of a weird thing to say. I think this kind of sad music, I don't know, you get excited about this stuff, but people are, seemingly into it. And, it's one of those things. We have a small, but a very dedicated, following, and people appreciate the deep dives that we do. And the video Justin Reich did, I think he just did an outstanding job. I think it looked amazing, and it was our first time doing a video with like special effects, like blood,
really?
and fire, and all those kinds of things. So it was neat for us just to be on set and watching stuff burn and other things. It was just kind of cool. But it's I think as a statement of intent for Please. It's being received the way we hoped it would.
Are you guys writing with the live setting in mind? Like this will be a good spot for Take It Way Low, or this will be a good spot for a breakdown, or whatever the case may be? Or are you writing the song for the song's sake and then adapting them to the stage?
Pretty much the latter. I don't really take a lot of the live thing into account when I'm writing, because I prefer to think of it as, like writing in a classical sense. What best serves this emotion, this story, whatever, and that will determine what sounds to use, what voices to employ, all that kind of stuff. So. And the nice thing is my friend Phil, he sings for a band called No Spoon, who my lead guitarist also plays in that band. They're actually on tour in Europe right now, and he kind of summed us up, I think, in a really good way, where he said that we're not a band you go see live. We're just performance art. Like our Prague Power performance, we played for an hour. And we got to the very last song. By the time we were at the very last song, you could hear a pin drop. The entire place was quiet. Everybody was silent until I said my final thing to the audience, and then they all clapped and all this kind of stuff. But that, to me, is kind of like what we're going for. And so live, bring in a lot of visuals and things like that to make it more of a overwhelming experience. And that's not anything new. I know a million bands use all kinds of things, but what I've curated isn't just cool little visuals and like, hey, I said death and now we're going to have a skull appear on the screen. Right. They're calculated to enhance the emotion of what we're talking about. In some cases, they're very, very tough to look at images, but that's the live portion we take into account, is how can we make this a more overwhelming experience and bring everybody into what we're doing. So there's no applause breaks. The set goes from first to last song without stopping. I don't talk to the audience. I don't do any, how's everybody feeling? Let's get it. I do none of that. The first time I speak to you without singing is at the end of the set to thank you. That's it. And that's because we're going to go where we need to go. And if we have to stop and think like, man, I want to see a pit right now, like that's great. And that works for plenty of bands. But if we're going to talk about some of the most destructive things that we've experienced, I don't I don't know that we can maintain that authenticity while also being like, all right, guys, let's have a wild time. So, everything is in service to the song and the experience, and then we'll figure out if we can even do it live afterwards.
How difficult is it to sequence a record like this? Because you guys create this ebb and flow, right? And kind of bringing the listeners on a journey. Is it difficult to create that sequence?
Yes. Um, I don't know that I got it right. I try my best, and when after I get done writing, I show it to the guys, and I'm like, I think this is the flow, and they may be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, or maybe I don't know, but the idea, as you just said, is journey, take people with you. So you have to think of it like maybe like a script or something. Like how do you keep people engaged? But also, what is the logical flow of these things? If we were just writing 6 songs, 10 songs, whatever, and all right, well, let's start with the banger up front, and then we'll do this, and we'll bring it down by the 4th song, and then we'll have another high energy one right after that. So we have this good flow to everything. But if that does not match how this narrative should go, how the journey should go, how the story needs to unfold, then we can't think of it that way. And so, like, Please, I got interviewed by this German magazine a week or two ago, and they were talking about how Please starts off really intense and heavy, and then by the end it gets really quiet. And they said, was that intentional? Because I said it was kind of interesting to like taper the record. And I said, yeah. And I said thematically, because to me, that's how depression and things like that feel like, panic attacks and insomnia. These are uncomfortable, this, that, and the other thing. But once depression has you, and you're bound by, like, it's flat, it's expressionless, it's just, you feel hollow, and it gets very quiet, and like you just sit in silence. And if you've decided, I don't think I want to live anymore, it's not this wild, intense, end of Freebird kind of, oh man, we got to do all these kinds of things. And it's this, you're almost staring at the ceiling fan, just saying, okay, I think I'm done. And it may not translate to a great record. I'm not here to claim Please is a good record or a bad record. It's just reflective of my experience with these things. And so I don't have to wonder whether it's authentic, because to me, that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like in my head.
Right. So fair to say that it was written for you, and then you want your fans to take the journey with you, right? I mean, it's your experience.
Because I did 2 records back to back. One that's coming out next year. Both of them got done at the same time, recorded, mixed, and everything at the same time. Please is the first one, and Don't Go is the second one. And Please, I wrote for the first time just about my own experience, like not about a family member, somebody else.
Right.
It's just, I remember saying to James, my lead guitarist, I said, you think people get mad if I just took time to just deal with my own stuff for a minute? And he was like, I don't think so. And Don't Go was about the loss of my father, which, that album about grief, oddly enough, like everyone that worked on it lost somebody. Jamie King, my producer, lost his father. James Nelson, my lead guitarist, lost his mother. Brian Kingsland, who did guest vocals both on Please and on Don't Go, he just lost his father last week. Everyone that I worked with lost somebody. Lita Tickle, who did guest vocals, she lost her brother last December. Like, it's kind of intense. And then we all lost people like Josh and all that stuff. So these 2 records were things I kind of made to just survive rather than anything else. So they are kind of selfishly, they were made for me to keep going, and I hope that won't be held against me.
Enough. Any plans to keep this out on the road, or is it hit or miss, or how are you doing that?
Well, I mean, we're booked to play Prague Power next year, and our label is trying to help us kind of secure a European leg. If we can do like a festival out there and some other things. We were planning to do a run in North America, but right now that's all in question. So a lot of it's kind of tough out there for musicians, as you know. But we'll at least be doing some festivals and doing some shows here or there, as far as whatever tours we can do. We'll do our best.
And if fans want to find you guys, can you give us all your socials, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So you can find us on Instagram at the.reticent.band. You'll find something called The Reticent Official, and that technically is us, but we got locked out of it 2 years ago, and Instagram never let us back in no matter what we did. So we can't quit it. We can't close it or anything. I still see that it gets interactions, even though nothing has been posted there in years. But, and that really is frustrating. But if you want to follow us there, the.reticent.band. We just started a TikTok. I mean, like literally just started it. Same thing, the.reticent.band. We're on Facebook, The Reticent Music. We're on YouTube, just at The Reticent, the TNR capital. And you can go to our website, thereticent.net. Yeah, that's where we all are.
All right. So I don't know if you're going to be comfortable with me asking this, but I feel like you need to. If fans out there are feeling any sort of way that we were talking about through this, or that you express in your music, what would you suggest to them?
Well, the first thing I would say is talk. I have a quote from a psychiatrist at the very beginning of the record that he says, the myth is that if you talk about it, it will make it worse. No, it actually deflates the balloon. It deflates the tension. The person feels relief at being able to put it on the table. Whatever form that may be, if you have a friend you trust, talk to them. Seek out counseling, therapist, write about it, post about it, whatever you need to do. I can definitively 100% say I would rather listen to you complain every single day for 100 years than read your obituary.
Right.
And there are other people that feel that way. But the important thing is to realize that as lonely as you feel, you're not alone. There are a lot of people that are going through these same kinds of things, and none of us really know our way through, because everybody's brain is different. The labyrinth is not the same for everybody. And the bad news is there's not a, oh, you just need to do this, that, the other thing. But I think that what's known as the CBT triangle, the cognitive behavioral therapy triangle, is helpful, and that is the notion that you have these three things. You have what you say, what you do, and what you think. Each one affects the other two. So what you think affects what you say and what you do. What you say affects what you think and what you do. What you do affects what you say and what you think. And so being cognizant of that, kind of understanding how you are looking in the mirror, and understanding your own struggles are important, and that's actually where the talking can help. I wish I had you just need to do X, Y, and Z. Some people find great relief through medication. Some people, it makes it worse. Some people find the perfect therapist. Some people take years to find somebody they can trust. Some people love to write poetry. Some people hate writing. I think that the thing to do is just don't fall into the riptide of the depression where it just pulls you down and you become inactive. So talk, do, write, all that kind of stuff. And, you'd be surprised how many people actually do get it. And almost certainly when your brain tells you you're not worth anything it's lying to you.